Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is February 9th, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching the U.S. market sell off after that big run-up, and we knew it was going to happen, and the sell-off happened across the board. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today. So as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the major pairs gain slightly versus the US dollar as the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both sell off. Now looking at commodities, gold unchanged, while oil rallies back from that support level of $72 to $78. And looking at stocks, the sell-off was across the board, but specifically, it was the tech stocks that sold off the most. Now lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, we're watching Bitcoin slightly weaker, and we're going to take a look at that. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to start out with the EURO USD, but it's not the one that bounced the most versus the USD, but you can see it's consolidating at this area after selling off from 110 and finally hitting that 110 and consolidated, and then it sold off at these levels to 0.073. That's over a 270 pip retracement. That's a decent move. I mean, somewhere in the middle of here, we could have caught it, okay, on this bounce here possibly. But this is something that is indicative, okay? And the markets are trading together, okay? Specifically, they're trading in such a way that you could see that they're all inclusive, meaning the dollar is getting weaker. That means the Dow Jones is going higher. Now, if the dollar is going stronger, okay, which is a little bit what's happening now with this bounce, that means the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones are selling off, and that's exactly what happened. So looking at the biggest one that bounced, GBP USD also bounced to 121. That's an important level for it to bounce above because it was dipping below 120. Okay, that's an important level psychologically. 120 is a round number. Now, jumping into commodities, gold really doing nothing. Okay, and just inching higher. And this is going to be kind of interesting because we're right there where the 30-day moving average is meeting the 200-day moving average, and that is possibly a resistance area. Now, if it pops above it with some gusto, with some volume, we may see it going back to the 1900-ish levels. So just keep that on your radar today. Now, looking at crude oil, look at that spike from $72. It happens every time. Look at this daily chart. Okay, if we look at it, it's clear. Every time it hits 81.90-ish level, that's a sell, and every time it hits $72, that's a buy. And this is clear as day and clear as a whistle that this is the case. Unbelievable that it's trading just so beautifully in this range, and that's a tremendous opportunity if I ever saw one. Okay, and it's important to take advantage of these type of opportunities. I'm jumping into the U.S. markets, starting out with the Dow Jones. Dow Jones yesterday sold off, as you can see here. Now, on a daily, we're just trading sideways, okay? Not a big sell-off, but we sold off, okay? It does look very resilient here, okay? The Dow Jones, at least the Dow Jones does look very resilient. If we look at the big tech, let's take a look at it. We sold off here. On a 4-hour chart, you can see that quite clearly. But again, it looks quite resilient. Now, if we look at the individual stocks, they don't look so resilient. I mean, looking at Apple, it sold off, but the one that was sold off the most was Microsoft. That's a capitulation. That worries me. It doesn't mean that we're going to go back to 247, but that's a bar that is a little bit, you know, hey, what's going on here? Okay, that looks like the end of a move on the upside. So keep this on the radar the next couple of days because we may get a bounce and then a sell-off again going into next week. But that is something that you got to keep an eye out for. Now, looking at the other tech stocks, Facebook also sold off quite aggressively from 190-ish level down to 183. That's a decent sell-off yesterday. Okay, you could see that when we hit 192, gap down from from yesterday, and then selling off. Now, it's flirting with that bottom range. Okay, so as long as it can hold that range, it'll bounce back. But if it doesn't, then we're going to see a sell-off. So keep this in mind. Today could be a very interesting day when it comes to trading. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, this looks like it's inching lower. Look, it looks like, okay, when this starts happening, okay, and there's volume that's increasing, and it continuously starts looking and edging lower in a channel, that becomes a little bit worrisome, okay, on the downside. Not worrisome that it's going to sell off because that's an opportunity for us. But that is something to look into. If this does break this 22,000, I would say 300-ish level, then I would look to actually go short, because that means we'll have a retracement here and a correction. So that's a possible opportunity for today's trading. This is Fed Razak, and wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.